Good day. Today we're going to talk about the Philippine politics and governance. So this is a specialized subject for the general academic strand and humanities and social sciences students. For the unit 1, we are going to talk about the politics and governance. And the first lesson for this is the nature of politics. As you can see on the screen, this is the Malacanang Palace. So let's have a quick introduction for this lesson. So when we talk about politics, so politics is commonly associated with the governance or politika at ang gobyerno. So pag pinag-uusapan natin ang politika, pumapasok agad sa atin yung mga government officials, the politicians, and even yung ating elections. So for example, the Malacanang Palace, yung pinakita ko sa inyo kanina, ay nagsisimbolo bilang o sumisimbolo sa Philippine government. Also, ang mga tao ay ini-interpret ito as the symbol of politics kasi dito nga nakatira yung highest political official or the President of the Philippines. Politics and government are interrelated concept. So they both direct and indirect affect the society. They influence our lives on how we act o para tayo kumilos sa ating lipunan. Aside from the concept of government, politics and governance, yung pamumuno, are also two different ideas. So in this lesson, we will focus our attention on identifying politics as concept. We are going to explore how politics affects our society and us as individual. Lastly, we are going to discuss also the various views on political and provide our interpretation of politics and its dynamic in the real life. The question right now is, what is politics? And how does it affects you as an individual? So first, let's have a word to remember. The first one is purview. So this is like scope, extent, or range. Cunning, like deceiving, and derogatory, harmful, disrespectful, and offensive. First, let's have the definition of politics. So, politics was derived from the Greek word polis, which means a state or city-state. It is Greek origin, city was the state, and all of the subjects or the people that deal with the city-states and its interests, issues, conflicts, and problems are politics. Politics, in a broader sense, is the management of the affairs of the states. It entails the exercise of powers and authority and making the political decision and allocation of limited resources. A political theorist, Robert Dahl, said that politics is the existence of rules and authority within the state. Thus, it is the study of power relationship among the people in a given society as well as the relationship among states in the international community. On the other hand, Andrew Yewood, a renowned author on the subject of politics, defined politics as the activity through which people make, preserve, and amend the general rules under which they live. Politics also deals with issues and conflict of and cooperation. This is because people in society have different interests and opinion, and they want or they do not always agree on how people should act and live within their society. Thus, it always conflict. Despite the existence of conflict, people also understand that they should work together in order to achieve a common good of a society. Hence, cooperation is necessary for the society to work. Legitimacy, sovereignty, and authority. Politics is a powerful tool in ensuring that there is dynamics, like continuous discussion, conflict of interest, disagreement, standard process, and finding solution. In order settings of rules and policies, conciliation of arguments, and resolution of conflicts in society. However, when we talk about politics, we also often encounter issues about the validity of the political power existence. There are three issues or basic issues in politics. These are legitimacy, sovereignty, and authority. Legitimacy is the people's attitude toward who they think is the rightful ruler to govern over them. This idea compels people to believe and follow the order of the ruler. For example, the class president is the rightful ruler of the class because he or she was elected by the majority of the class. With this, the class president has the legitimacy to lead and to govern the class. Since the power of the class president to lead the govern the class is legitimate, the class will generally listen and follow. Sovereignty. This is the right of the government to exist and the rule over certain territory in its subject. This is defined by the Montevideo Convention of 1933, wherein sovereign nations recognize the rights or the right of the other sovereign nations to rule over their respective nations. The Philippines is recognized as sovereign nation. Thus, its government has the right to rule over its object, make important decisions for the best interest of the people, and allocate its resources for the common good. It also means that no other country can and should meddle with the influence of the Philippine government. Authority. Authority is the power of the leader to rule and exact obedience from the people. It is an acknowledged right to govern the people who, in turn, have the duty to abide and follow their leader. To understand authority better, let's look at the system of the Philippine judiciary. The Philippine judiciary has the authority to address the concern of the application and interpretation of the law being implemented in the country. Thus, it has the authority to decide on legal matters concerning the country's or its individual citizen when courts make decisions that are final and executory, and the parties concerned have the corresponding duty to comply with them. Let's talk about different views on politics. Experts in politics agreed that there are different definitions and views about politics. Others say it is exercise of power. Some say it is science of government, while others believe it is making of collective decision and allocation of scarce resources, and the practice of deception and manipulation. There's also definitions saying that politics is the making, preserving, and amending the general social rules. With this broad and seemingly encompassing definition, how do we determine what politics is? There are two broad approaches to define politics that will resolve its other conflicting definition. The first one is based on the location of politics or where political behavior takes place. The second one is about the process of politics, in which social behavior demonstrate distinct qualities in almost all social contexts. Politics as art of the government. To view politics as the art of government is to define politics as what governments do. In this definition, politics is state-centered. Everything under related to the government or under related to government or state, the people, non-government sectors, agencies, and organization, and civil or social activities are not political and are outside the purview of politics. Hence, businesses, religions, civil society, and families are non-political. Let's see this table number one. Politics as the art of government define the difference between public and private sphere. So on public, it is the state, the apparatus of the government. While in private, this is the civil society, the businesses, trade unions, club, families, and so on, which is non-political. The state-centered view on politics focus on the government and how it responds and address its subject many issues and concern by setting rules, providing benefits, giving rewards, and implementing penalties. Politics is the government and all of its agencies, processes, personnel, and machinery. Thus, the exercise of politics is limited only to individuals or group of participate rather in government activities, politicians and their political parties. However, such a view of politics is very narrow because politics is seen as everything that politicians do. This tends to shed a negative light on politics, especially nowadays. What the media has the power to expose power-hungry politicians who use their position to pursue personal interests and enjoy personal benefits. Politics is now viewed as self-serving, two-paced, and unprincipled. Since politicians are commonly considered as manipulative, cruel, and cunning, politics is given a negative and derogatory connotations. Politics as public affairs. Viewing politics as public life or public affairs means everything that is political is within the public sphere of life. Public activities, public discussion, and public interest. On the other hand, the non-political belong to the private sphere such as personal interests and personal affairs. In this view, the state or the government belong to the public spheres while civil society, groups such as businesses, trade unions, religious group, and other families are within the private sphere. Everything related to commerce, art, culture, and tradition, and work is under the public realm. Meanwhile, the personal realm covers everything within the family and domestic affairs. Let's see this table number 2. Politics as public affairs that provides a wider, more inclusive division between the public and the private sphere. On the public side, it is the politics, commerce, work, art, culture, and so on. While in the private, this is only the family and the domestic life. Unlike the previous view on the politics as art of the government, this is view on politics as public affairs tends to give a positive meaning on politics. According to Hannah Arendt, a political philosopher, since politics happens within the public sphere, it is the most important form of human activities because it involves interactions among free and equal individuals. This view also give meaning to the life and recognize diversity in society and the uniqueness of each individual. Aristotle, another political philosopher, believed that man is by nature a political animal. It can only have a good life within political community. Politics as compromise and consensus. Hence, politics is viewed as the art of the possible. This is highlights politics as particular way of resolving conflicts and compromise, conciliation, and negotiation rather than through force and power. Within this, or with this, finding a solution to a problem, conflict is done through peaceful discussion, debates, and negotiation. According to Bernard Crick, a political theorist, politics is the activity by which differing interests within society are reconciled by giving them a share of power and proportion to their importance to the welfare of survival of the community. This implies that power is widely distributed among the public, giving them a sense of authority and ownership in contributing to the discussion and in finding ways to arrive at an agreement. This view recognizes that conflicts are avoidable as they usually arise in society. However, this conflict can be resolved without resorting to intimidation and violence. This view likewise acknowledges debates and discussion as effective tool in conflict resolution, and that there will always be room for consensus in society. Politics as power and distribution of resources. Politics as power takes place at every level of social interaction and human exists. This view does not confine politics as particular sphere, whether public or private. And What is Politics by Adrian Lepowich, he stated that politics is at the heart of all collective social activity, formal and also informal, public and private, in all human groups, institutions, and societies. This means that politics takes place within families, small groups or friends, organization, nation, and on global stage. This sense, politics became broad and radical. This concerned the production, distribution, and use of resources in the course of social existence. Therefore, politics as power focuses on the ability to achieve and desire outcomes through the means of possible. From the perspective of Harold Lasway, a political scientist, politics is about diversity and conflict, but the essential ingredient is scarcity. The human needs, wants, and infinite. The available resources to satisfy them are always limited. Thus, politics is struggle over limited resources, and power is how the struggle is conducted. To give summary in politics in the Philippines focus on politics as part of government, focusing more on the politician and political parties. Philippine politics has traditionally been dominated by clans and political bosses. This is characterized by lawmakers who make decisions based on the fiscal incentives. Voters make choice based on the personality rather than reasoned policies. Filipino character traits like hiya, amor proprio, and utang na loob have always played a part in deciding who to elect or to give patronage to. Personalities are more important than policies. Movie stars and famous personality have always won the favor to support for the people of the people, even they do not propose a beneficial solution to society. In addition, prominent political clans dominate the political scene. It is not usual to each town to have a political dynasty. People in position for governor to Sanggunian ng Kabataan, or what we call SK, represent mostly belong to the single family. To wrap up today's discussions, politics refers to affairs between the people and the government, in which conflict are resolved through consensus aiming to achieve the society's common good. There are three issues in politics. We have legitimacy, sovereignty, and authority. There are two main perspectives in politics, the location and the process. When we talk about location, location is from which political behavior demonstrate and the process in which unique qualities of political behavior are exemplified. There are four main views of politics. Politics as an art of government, politics as public affairs, politics as compromise and consensus, and the last one is politics as power. So again, good day.